Hello everyone, welcome to V2B Academy and I welcome you all to the class on the current issues. So basically in today's class we are going to study something related to Ganga Water Treaty, India-Bangladesh Ganga Water Treaty. This was almost signed 29 years ago and it is going to end, okay, the treaty is going to end in 2026. So that's the reason the government is, thinking of renewing it along with sitting with the Bangladesh, but government want to deal with this particular treaty or renew this particular treaty with certain changes. So that's why it is in the news, and Bangladesh is little bit worried about the decision that is going to be taken by India. So why is it worried? And what is the provisions of this particular treaty? Let's understand this. So this is important for the GS2 point of view. This is important for the international relations and also important for the GS1 geography. So let's understand this topic in detail. So if you are first time watching our channel, please make sure that you hit the subscribe button and also click the notification bell icon so that whenever we upload the new content, you will be notified with the content that we upload. And also please share it with your friends and fellow aspirants so that they can also get benefit out of our videos. So let's start the discussion. So basically this particular treaty, that is India-Bangladesh, between India and Bangladesh, this water treaty was signed almost in 1996 on 12th December. So the duration of the treaty, as I have already told you, is for 30 years. So it was signed in 1996 and it is going to end by 2026. So that's the reason they are thinking of to change the provisions of this particular treaty, mainly from the Indian side. Indian government is interested to change certain provisions of this particular treaty. Okay. So the purpose of this particular treaty, this specific treaty will help in governing the sharing of the Ganga river in the dry season. So basically from Jan to May 1st, so this is considered to be a dry season, right? So during this particular period from Jan to May, the Ganga water flow will be little low. So during this period, it is essential between both the countries to share the water. Okay, so that's the reason, as part of water diplomacy, as part of track-wind diplomacy of international relations, so we have come up with this particular aspect in 1996. Okay, so based on the historical flow data that was between 1949 and 1988, so this particular treaty was signed. And prior to the signing of this particular treaty in 1956, in 1950s, when India thought of planning for the Farakka barrage, for the planning of the Farakka barrage construction, so East Pakistan, so the then East Pakistan, so basically in 1970s Bangladesh was born, we know, after the Indo-Pakistan war. So but in 1950s it was the Eastern Pakistan. Eastern Pakistan was very much worried about when India was planning for the Farakka barrage construction, because Farakka barrage will lead to decrease in the water flow from the Ganga river to them. So that's the reason they were very much worried. In 1971 we know that both the country after the formation of the independent Bangladesh, both the countries sort of coming up with the water sharing solutions, because both the countries will almost share 50 plus minor and major rivers. So that's the reason they thought of coming up with the agreement so that they can find out the solutions for the water sharing. But till 1996 there were minor treaties, the 5-year agreements, ad hoc arrangements were only signed. The permanent long-term treaty was not signed till 1996. So it is in 1996 they aimed to provide the long-term solution. That's the reason in 1996 they have come up with this Ganga Water Treaty. So that was actually for the period of 30 years till 2026. Okay, so it is the time for us to review this particular treaty and also to add certain provisions and to amend certain provisions according to the change in the circumstances in the international order, and also change in our relation with the Bangladesh. So what are the key provisions of this 1996 treaty? Basically this treaty is, the main agenda of this particular treaty is to share the water between both the countries during the dry season period. So the dry season is between 1st Jan and 31st May. Okay, so whenever the water flow is more than 70,000 cusecs. So cusecs is a unit which helps us to measure the per unit flow. Okay, so when the water flow in the Ganga is more than, less than or equal to 70,000 cusecs, not more, when it is less than or equal to 70,000 cusecs, both the countries will share the water equally. So if 50% is shared with Bangladesh, 50% will be remaining in India. And if it is more than 70,000 till 75,000 cusecs, Bangladesh will be getting 35,000 cusecs and the rest of it will be remaining with the India. And if the flow is more than 75,000 cusecs, definitely India will get 40,000 cusecs and Bangladesh will get the rest of the water. I'll repeat it again. When the flow is less than 70,000 or equal to 70,000 cusecs, both of the countries will share the water equally. When it is between 70,000 to 75,000 cusecs, Bangladesh will get 35,000 and India will get remainder portion. And if it is more than 75,000, India will get 40,000 cusecs and Bangladesh will get the rest of the water. Okay, and mainly there is a critical dry period. So we are basically considering from 1st Jan to 31st May as a dry period. But out of this particular period also, there is a critical dry period that exists between March 11th and May 10th. So during this particular period, a minimum of 35,000 cusecs is guaranteed for each country alternatively. Remember, here we are using the term alternatively. For example, from March 11th to March 20, if we are sharing water with Bangladesh of 35,000 cusecs, from March 21st to March 31st, we need to share it with India, and that too 35,000 cusecs. So basically 10 days, a 10 days period is actually chosen alternatively. So if for the first 10 days, if we are sharing water with the with the Bangladesh, and the next 10 days will be shared with the India, and next 10 days again with the Bangladesh. So same thing repeats till May 31st. Okay, so this is the basically this is the formula that they are using during the critical dry period. And there is no absolute guarantee phenomena. So there is a provision called no absolute guarantee. So if the flow is less than 50,000 cusecs during the dry period, if the flow of the water in the Ganga is less than 50,000 cusecs, so there will be no obligation on India to share water with the Bangladesh. Okay, so if it is more than 70 or if it is less than 70, we'll have an obligation to share. But if it is less than 50,000 cusecs, there will be emergency consultations that will be made between both the countries, and they'll be deciding how much to share with the Bangladesh, and if India will not be having any obligation to compulsory share the water with Bangladesh. Okay, and there should be a body to monitor this particular mechanism, right? So that's the reason during this particular treaty only, so both the countries have come up with something called as joint committee under Joint Rivers Commission. So basically this joint committee will meet thrice in a year. Okay, per year they'll meet thrice, and they'll review the data, and they'll supervise this particular phenomena. Okay, whatever the features that they have signed, they'll supervise all if these things are happening or not. Okay, so let's see certain challenges and how the treaty will be implemented. So the treaty maintained peace and data exchange between India and Bangladesh. So to implement this particular treaty, definitely there should be a peace exchange between both the countries, and there should be a data exchange between both the countries. So both the countries will exchange the data and they'll exchange the peace also. So but Bangladesh have certain concerns with respect to Ganga Water Treaty. So according to them, they are saying that so out of the 310 day periods, only during the 94 days, okay, out of 300, only in 94 days, okay, between 1997 to 2016, so Bangladesh has received less than what is promised by India. So I'll repeat it again. Out of the 10 day periods of 300 total days, so out of this 300, 94 days are in such a way that Bangladesh has received less than the water that was promised in the treaty. And these 300 days are chosen from 1997 to 2016. So they have picked up the data from 1997 to 2016, and they are telling that so almost 94 out of the 300 days they did not receive the water as promised in the agreement. Okay. And Bangladesh also have a concern with respect to seasonal mismatches. So they are saying that often the water that is released by India is very, very late, which is harming the agriculture sector of the Bangladesh. So this is another concern they are highlighting. And they're also highlighting about ecological issues, because so they said that because of the salinity of the water and because of the excess of salt in the water, so their wetlands and their fishery sector is getting affected. So these are the different concerns that Bangladesh have with respect to the Ganga Water Treaty. And what are the concerns that India have? So in India, there are different states like Bihar, West Bengal, they are showing concern with respect to this particular treaty. They are saying that, first thing, West Bengal is saying that So water, if we are sharing the water with the Bangladesh, so there will be a shortage that is to be created to the farmers of the Calcutta. Okay, the farmers of the West Bengal and the farmers of the Calcutta are facing the shortage of water issues because of the sharing of water with the Bangladesh. So this is the first thing. And also Calcutta port siltation was also there due to the less water diversion. So Calcutta port is also not receiving enough amount of water with respect to this particular thing. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, so Calcutta port is also not receiving enough amount of water that is to be received by it. And Bihar is also alleging that monsoonal floods are actually creating a worsened situation to that particular states by because of the floods that are taking place. So Bihar is alleging that monsoon floods are worsening due to the barrage operations. So these are the different concerns that West Bengal and Bihar, which are the states of India, they are facing. Okay, let's see the India stand. In 2025, we are seeking of the negotiations. Okay, we want to renegotiate with Bangladesh in the changing or amendment process of the India Ganga Bangladesh Ganga Water Treaty. So what is India's stand in 2025? So this treaty should reflect India's rising developmental needs. We know, so the situation, it's not same today and it is not same during 1996. So the situation has changed because the population of the country has increased, the developmental needs of the country has increased, and states started demanding about this particular things. And in this 30-year periods, we came to know what are the difficulties that we are facing with respect to the Ganga Water Treaty. So because of the rising developmental needs and because of the increase in the climate challenges, definitely there was a proposal to reduce treaty duration to 10 to 15 years, and there is a proposal of changing certain kind of provisions in the treaty so that we can come up with the new provisions which are benefitable to India. Okay, India want to consider the developmental needs of India also while coming up with this particular agreement, okay, or while renegotiating with the Bangladesh. And India suspended, we know recently India also suspended India's water treaty with Pakistan because of the increase in terrorism and because of the Pahalgam attack in April 2025. So because of this also Bangladesh is worried. So Bangladesh is worried that same may go with Bangladesh if they are turning against India. We know recently Mohammad Yunus has come up with the controversial statements against India and mainly with respect to northeastern part of India. Okay, so because of that, in retaliation, lot of steps were also taken by Indian government with respect to sharing of the multimodal networks, or with respect to the sharing of other things also. India has come up with some retaliatory measures. We know that. Okay, as part of it only, India is trying to actually indirectly use its diplomacy. Okay, indirectly India want to say Bangladesh that they are going to consider their own aspirations and they are not going to consider their aspirations with respect to the Ganga Water Treaty. Okay, indirectly they want to tell Bangladesh that we are not more concerned about you, we are concerned about ourselves. Okay, next. So even West Bengal plays the greater role in this particular agreement. Mamata Banerjee's government is always opposing the decision of the Ganga Water Treaty, even previously, and she is opposing unilateral decisions. And she is telling that different stakeholders who are involved in it should actually involve while renegotiating this particular agreement. And also there are some internal contradictions also, like states like Bihar and West Bengal have some conflicting water priorities also. Okay, and there is a context of the climate change that Indian government is speaking about, right? So we know because of the change in the river water flows, because of the erratic river flows, so because of the different climate change issues, we are suffering a lot. And it is said that by 2050 dry seasons will actually grow because of the climate change, and it will cause more harm to India if we are sharing water with the Bangladesh. So that's the reason India want to renegotiate with this particular treaty, and they want to renegotiate and they want to amend certain provisions in it. And there is also a study that was conducted by ICIMOD in 2019. They are warning that the warns of significant reduction in the Ganga Brahmaputra volumes due to Himalayan melt and changing precipitation. We know glacier melting is a problem that we are facing as of now because of climate change, and because of the glacier melting from Himalayas, definitely the water flow in Ganga and Brahmaputra will change. So this will further lead to the change in the precipitation patterns. So this is warned by ICIMOD. Definitely if the water flow in this particular areas decrease, so we may not actually share the water with the Bangladesh. So dynamic water allocation, climate resilient treaties, and also enhanced data sharing are the need of the hours between India and Bangladesh. So we know even the political landscape. So just now I have told you there are some political reasons also. We have seen in 2024 PM Modi and Sheikh Hasina has agreed to begin treaty talks during her visit before unseated, and also in 2025 technical talks were made there. Okay, teams of both the countries have met in Calcutta to assess the Faraka like this particular flows. And also Bangladesh, we have seen a transition in the Bangladesh with respect to political order, or we have seen the transition of India and Bangladesh ties also. International ties also are okay, somewhat like a strained relations are there between both the countries. So Bangladesh is slightly turning towards China. We know that. So interim government under Muhammad Yunus is there as of now, and also slightly Bangladesh is becoming closer to China. This adds a new diplomatic caution to India. Definitely, as part of the diplomatic step, India need to come up with their particular provisions which will benefit India, and it will be against Bangladesh. And also India is telling that before signing the new treaty, we need a elected government for legitimacy in Bangladesh. Only with the elected government we are going to sign a treaty. This is the thing that India is actually striving for. What India wants from the new treaty? First thing is, it wants to shorten up the time. It doesn't want to come up with a 30 years treaty. It wants to shorten up to 10 to 15 years. And water allocation flexibility should be there. Okay. And also domestic water security is something which India is focusing upon. And also India is also focusing upon the India's economic growth over Bangladesh. Okay. So what's at stake for Bangladesh? So definitely Bangladesh is telling that Ganga is a lifeline for agriculture of the Bangladesh, and it is very important for the ecology, and drinking needs of the Bangladesh are also met by Ganga. And because of the change in the provisions of this particular treaty, definitely there might be a reduction in the flow. This may affect them in the future. Okay. So this may lead to droughts also. So, and Bangladesh is insisting on not to decrease the current share, and they want to come up with the legally binding commitment. So this is the stake of the Bangladesh. Okay, what should be the way forward then? How we need to treat with the Bangladesh with respect to this particular treaty? So treaty must evolve to address the climate variability. Definitely we need to put in mind regarding the climate change issues, and we need to respect both the countries' interests. If we are going against the Bangladesh, there might be a risk that the relations between both the countries will further strained. Okay, will be further strained. That is another problem. And to foster regional peace and development also, there should be a balanced cooperation that is needed between both the countries. So we know India is a growing power. We must ensure the citizens of India are getting adequate water supply. And as a responsible neighbor, we need to think about Bangladesh also, because we have the policy called neighborhood first policy in our foreign policy. So definitely we need to think about the needs of the Bangladesh also, or else we need to come up with some kind of strategy where both the countries get benefits. Okay. So diplomatic tensions may rise if we are not actually renewing, or if we are not coming up with the possible solution. Ecological degradation may happen, and socio-economic consequence for millions may happen overall. So, and also this is the way forward. And also there is an extra insight that I wanted to provide. So in the same way like Ganga Water Treaty, we have a treaty with Pakistan, that is Indus Water Treaty. You might have seen in the news for the quite a long period of time because of Pahalgam attack. And we have signed this with Pakistan in 1960, which was brokered by World Bank. And Mekong River Commission is on the Southeast Asia. This includes ecological flow standards and the climate adaptation mechanism. So basically, remember that Mekong River Commission is in the Southeast Asia, and Indus Water is with Pakistan, and Ganga Treaty is with the Bangladesh. And in Ganga Treaty, we did not take any support from the third parties. We did not have any third party mediation. So because of that, both the countries have that flexibility to deal with this particular thing, and they are equally responsible also till now. But now, because of the regime change in Bangladesh, there are certain concerns that are growing with respect to Bangladesh. Okay, so we know Bangladesh is a lower riparian state. Okay, so when water flows like this, so if this is one area, if this is a second area, the country which is in this particular area, okay, in this particular area, in the part A, this will be an upper riparian state, and this particular country will be the lower riparian state. Definitely when water is flowing from the upper riparian state to the lower riparian state, lower riparian state will be in a disadvantaged position. And with respect to the Ganga river, India is a upper riparian state. We are having some more say in this particular regards. Okay, that's the reason Bangladesh is more worried with respect to this particular treaty. Okay, I hope you have understood this particular issue. Let's meet in the next class again. So tomorrow we'll be coming up with another current issue. If you are liking the initiatives that are taken up by the channel, or whatever the initiatives that we are coming up with, if it is useful to you, definitely please like the video, and also please share it with your friends and fellow aspirants, and don't forget to subscribe the channel. Okay, let's meet in the next class. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.